Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Wondering how much money you'll need to comfortably retire? Well, according to recent studies on this very question, you're not alone.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Over the past few years, I've broadcast the fact that according to government statistics and census numbers, it is estimated that each day, 10,000 red-blooded Americans are turning 65. Today, as these numbers are updated to reflect the year 2024, the number of people turning 65 each day now stands at 12,000 per day, mainly due to the fact that we baby boomers are getting older as more and more of us enter this thing called retirement, which might explain why many of you are getting bombarded with invitations and ads to plan for your retirement and pitches to move your 401k over to advisors hungry, no pun intended, for your business. And of all those offers to handle your retirement, the three most important questions weighing on the minds of savers are these. But today, we're covering number 2, which is how much money does one need to comfortably retire, which is the topic of today's show. So let's get started. Well, welcome, folks, to the WorryFree Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we answer question number 2, how much money will you need to comfortably retire? Let me introduce 2 young lads who are comfortably putting on this show each week, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, along with Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. So let's assume you are a financial advisor, maybe a large insurance company, or work for a large custodian of many of the 401k plans out there. If you were in need of more money to invest, where might be a good place to go looking for it? Well, if you want the most bang for your buck, you'd certainly consider finding these 12,000 savers who are turning 65 each day, right? The problem, though, how do you get in front of all these savers to pitch them on why you need to be handling their money? Well, one way to pull it off is by simply bombarding their mailboxes with free dinner seminar ads and the latest ploy to get in front of savers, pseudo-nonprofit invitations from advisors holding court in local libraries and, get this, universities. All again with one goal in mind, and that is to try to get you to turn over your life savings to them. That's it. Now, including in their marketing of the top 3 questions on the minds of retirees is this one. The question we will answer today: how much money will I need to retire comfortably? You know, it's because of these 3 questions that more than 20 years ago I created the only process in the country that was dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, something I call the Worry-Free Retirement. It's a unique 5-step process which includes our own proprietary income software and, get this, a full-time income planning department. So today, we will tackle that question number 2 and how we at Tony Walker Financial are well prepared to provide the answers savers are looking for. So if you're a saver, retired or nearing retirement, stay tuned because I'll be right back.
Our Tony Walker Financial 5-star review comes to us from Jennifer, who says the following: always so helpful and knowledgeable. They treat you like family. When I lost my husband, they were so careful with my money and helped me by explaining all my options. During such a terrible time in my life, they gave me the support I so desperately needed when it was difficult to even be able to think clearly. For more information, visit TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 877-499-9255.
Over the years, I have literally counseled nearly 20,000 savers, and over that period of time, one of the things I've noticed regarding the tax laws and savers' ability to use and enjoy their money at the least amount of hassle around these complicated tax codes is during a period I refer to as halftime. Now, halftime is officially designated beginning at the age of 59 and a half, and for tax purposes, runs all the way to age 73. Now, why these two ages, and why do I think the years in between them are so important for tax planning purposes? Well, let's do this and go over to the whiteboard and let me explain. Okay, so we're talking about this period of time that provides great flexibility in terms of tax planning, and this is what I call halftime. Okay? For tax planning purposes, that is the age between 59 and a half and 73. So why is this so critical? Well, if you think about it, if you were to take out money prior to 59 and a half, depending on how you do it, now again, we're talking about taking money out of those tax-infested 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, etc. If you take money out prior to 59 and a half, if you're not careful, there can be a 10% penalty on that money. So you have to really be careful pulling money out prior to 59 and a half, and of course, we can show you how to avoid those penalties. And then if you go past 73, that's the required minimum distribution age, the penalty could possibly be as high as 25% if you mess up and don't take out the appropriate amount that the government says you have to take out. So what's the point with all this? Well, at Tony Walker Financial, we recognize that this period of time, halftime as we like to call it, is the most flexible time to use and enjoy your money. The problem is the financial world doesn't want you to take this money. They continue to cast fear, doubt, fears of inflation, and what happens is I see most of these Pearl savers, they get to a point way into the second half of life, and this money starts accumulating to a point where they can't even use and enjoy it because at that point, it's too late. So that's you. If you are approaching 59 and a half or approaching age 70, just know that you are at halftime right now, and there's some wonderful tax planning opportunities for you to use and enjoy more of this money. So to find out more about our services at Tony Walker Financial, to go through a tax planning analysis, just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or give us a call at 877-499-9255. We'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. For years on this show, I've done my best to explain why so many advisors are now entering the retirement planning field and inviting, of course, complete strangers to free steak dinner seminars and so-called nonprofit companies wanting to educate savers on retirement, of course, for a small fee. The reason? An estimated 12,000 people who each and every day are turning age 65, which means if you fall into this range, chances are you are seeing more and more invitations of all sorts cramming into your mailbox. The reason for this tremendous growth in retirees? Baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964 who are naturally getting older, a period of time called the Peak 65, representing the largest wave of retirees in U.S. history. In fact, through 2027, this trend is expected to continue with more than 4 million Americans turning 65 each year. By 2030, it's supposedly going to be all boomers will have reached age 65, creating significant shifts in retirement landscaping. Yet, with all of this shift in the landscape, the fact remains that no matter how old someone is, the three main questions on the minds of savers entering this thing called retirement, and there's one question today, question number 2, and that's retiring in comfort, that we're going to dive into a little more further. And we've got to help us on this subject, my favorite son-in-law and fellow fiduciary, Trey Juergens. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. By the way, this one invitation, the source of these invitations we're getting, folks, this is hilarious, is actually you.
Yep, right in my mailbox.
So, folks, you got to understand, you're getting these invitations. They're supposed to be sent to people over 55, generally over certain households, whatever, you're getting them. And you're kind of probably thinking, because I'm not getting any of these. So it's just kind of funny. This last one, though, it tickles me. More and more people are having seminars at libraries and universities, and they have these nonprofits doing the mailing. Yeah, folks, the nonprofits may be doing the mailing, but these are advisors who are looking to get after your money. So all I would say, if you go to one of these dinner seminars or whatever, please give us an opportunity to give you a second opinion before you potentially tie up money. I promise we're going to get to you. Speaking of tying up money, Wes, we're running into all these people with structured notes. Have you seen this lately?
I have, yeah.
So I thought what we would do is turn it over to our own Wes Walker, who's done a little research on these structured notes and how desperate people are getting to find other products, but how dangerous these products are. So Wes, take it away.
Structured products, also known as structured notes, are senior unsecured debt issued by major banks. They combine an investment in a fixed income instrument with a derivatives position in order to create a synthetic security that is passed along to the end consumer. They are a way for banks to issue debt at cheaper than market rates because of the implied spread between the cost of the investment to the bank and the end market price to the saver.
Hold on, Wes. Come on, break that down in layman's terms, partner.
Well, Tony, it just means that banks buy up different securities, they package them all together, and then they sell them to end consumers at a pretty high markup. They're not necessarily all bad, but savers can sometimes not understand what they're buying, and they can have downside risks that they're not made aware of. If you're buying this or any other financial product, it's just best to make sure that you're working with someone who's required to act in your best interest, i.e., a fiduciary.
All right, as Trey, you like to say, the essence of time, this Peak 65 article that you found for me, I'd never heard of this. What is it basically saying?
Yeah, so it's really no secret if anyone's seen the show in the last couple years, the wave of baby boomers turning 65 each day is getting tremendous. It's right now 4.1 million are set to turn 65 in 2024, and that's going to continue on through 2027. They refer to that as the Peak 65, or they also call it the Silver Tsunami.
I like that. So it's kind of like the graph we've showed before. It's almost like a bell curve, and I'm in that tsunami, I guess. The biggest wave of the baby boomers is really coming to the fray, correct?
Yeah, right now, between now and 2030, all baby boomers will turn 65.
And before we go into a few bullet points, speak to the fact of people who come to us, especially that have talked to other advisors, or maybe they're going it alone. And what happens? What is their reaction when they finally see our game plan? And speaking of the comfort level they have in knowing that we're going to be watching over that game plan.
Yeah, the beauty is if someone's been to a dinner seminar or one of these educational workshops, and then they come see us and they see a game plan, something actually laid out for them to take and study and commit to when they're ready, not if they ate that whole steak and they're like, oh, here, buy this. But it gives them something that they can truly read, understand, know how every dollar they've earned is going to be spent to use and enjoy over their retirement.
We had a couple in yesterday, been with me for years, and they were planning on doing some major changes, and just how quickly we could get on the same page with the game plan. And I thought about this. I thought it would take probably several hours without a game plan to go back and research, try to find our notes. Why did we even set these products up? What are we going to do with them? But for us as planners, it really helps us as well.
Yeah, I'm a visual person. I think most people, when breaking down finances and you can see it visually and have a game plan that lays out the whole income plan, it really does help.
Yeah, I'm visual too. I'm like you. It's probably why I created it years ago, because even me in my own world, although I'm pretty good with numbers, I got to have visuals to help back up the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So real quickly in our remaining time, Trey, we've got some bullet points. They'll be on the screen behind us, but let me kind of look at this. This, I think, did this actually come from the article, these bullet points you're going to touch on?
From this article, some
okay,
other,
go ahead.
Based on different retirement studies around this same Peak 65 phenomenon. As I mentioned, 4.1 million people are set to turn 65 each year through 2027. Of those, 1 in 5 over the age of 65 are going to continue to work. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and I saw an article the other day. Aaron even provided it, and a lot of people are having to work. Now, some want to work, but some are just having to work because they realize they don't have enough money.
No, exactly right. 60% of older Americans lack adequate retirement savings. I don't think that's anything to be surprised about. There's a lot of people that do rely on Social Security. Healthcare costs are going to be a major concern. Also, those to care for those 65 and older. That's going to be a huge population. They're going to need care. So another phenomenon that comes with more and more savers turning 65. Additionally, Social Security's uncertain future. We've covered that in past shows. Inflation, rising interest rates, nearly half of Americans risking outliving their savings. I know that's studies we've covered previously. And only 40% of Americans have calculated retirement needs.
My gosh. So folks, if that's you, if you're sitting there saying, yeah, I really don't even have a game plan, I can relate to what these guys are talking about, please give us an opportunity to talk. Why don't you log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started, or call us anytime for a free phone call at 877-499-9255. Good stuff, Trey. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Lisa Allerkamp with today's most common question I receive regarding Social Security. What is full retirement age? For Social Security, full retirement age is the age at which a person is entitled to 100% of their monthly Social Security benefit. Your full retirement age depends on your birth year. For people born in 1955, full benefit age is 66 years and 2 months. Then it will gradually rise to age 67 for those born in 1960 or later. Again, full retirement age is when you're eligible to receive 100% of your Social Security benefit. You may take your benefit as early as age 62, but anytime you begin your benefit prior to your full retirement age, it will be a reduced amount.
We go through a tremendous, I say tremendous, it's well in the six figures every year, just in what we call compliance. In other words, we want to be above board. We are fiduciaries. We pay people to help us make sure we're in compliance with regulators. But it appears, and I'll just say it appears, that there are some, possibly many advisors out there who have chosen and elected not to become registered investment advisors or fiduciaries, and I like to say appear to be flying under the radar from these regulators, and it allows them sometimes, I think, to do things that I would say borderline unethical or unscrupulous at best. What would you say, or how would you address of what's going on in the industry right now?
Well, first, I would say if you ran the business that way, I would not still be here. So, and I've been, 18 plus years now. Pride ourselves in us trying to be ethical and, have all the regulations in check, which, like you said, compliance is a very expensive thing. We've got a lot of legalities hoops to jump through to make sure all of the regulatory agencies are happy with us, and which is the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. This is people's money. We need to be as above board as we possibly can. Those advisors that choose not to do that, you just you don't know their motives, but you just kind of question, why aren't you playing by the same rules as those that are?
Yeah, I've often said I don't mind competing with everybody in every world, and I think that's the capitalism thrives on competition. I just want to make sure everybody in this game is playing by the same rules, and I'm afraid they're not.
I agree.
Looking for an advisor you can trust? Schedule your free phone call with Tony at TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 1-877-499-9255.
Our Tony Walker Financial Client Spotlight today focuses on Patty and Robert Jarboe.
Pretty much every time the stock market would crash, I would stress out and probably cry. And every single day I was on the phone looking at the stock market.
And I just said, what am I going to do now? I'm getting older and I lost half my money. That's when I started thinking, I need an exit plan here. I'm getting tired of getting older, and I'm getting tired of trying to deal with this every day. So I'm looking for an exit plan. That's where Tony came in.
The more he mentioned Tony Walker, the better I felt. And once we did go see Tony Walker, it pretty much took all of the anxiety, all of the stress. It just took it away from me, especially when he told us and showed us the amount we were going to get each month, and I was ready to sign the paper right then and there, and I think we did. We definitely have traveled and planned a lot more traveling.
What is our next one?
Our next one is in December, and we're going to Belize and Cozumel and Honduras.
And for my 70th birthday, we're going to
Italy and Greece.
Italy and Greece, yes.
Now that we know we have a steadier income.
We're going from a saver to a spender. We're going to eat the good bacon.
Exactly.
Looking for an advisor you can trust? Schedule your free phone call with Tony at TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 1-877-499-9255.
On today's Fun Facts, we'll be talking about how to evaluate investment performance. I'm Wes Walker, full-time fiduciary in the Louisville and Lexington offices, and I'm joined by
Trey Juergens. I'm full-time fiduciary here in the Louisville office.
So the subject matter today, Trey, we're basically wanting to talk about how does someone compare their performance in an investment account, and what should they look for as they look at their statements that they get from their broker or financial advisor?
Yeah, so this is a phone call. I mean, I know you get probably 12 times a day or more. It's that, hey, Trey, just want to see how things are going. They want to have something to base it off of. And what we do in our income planning, we take very realistic assumptions. We're not going to tell you we're going to get double digits every year because we know what the market's done historically. But when it boils down, people want to hold something up against a benchmark. A benchmark is something to just base what you've made off of what something else has made. Something historical with a lot of data. So speak a little bit to a benchmark, but also how we truly tell our clients how their funds are performing.
Sure. So a benchmark is just, like you said, a way to compare your performance against something else. If you were running a portfolio of all stocks, you might benchmark your performance against the S&P 500 or the stock market more broadly.
Sure.
Really, what we do or try to do in our performance reporting is not so much to benchmark ourselves against major indices or other mutual funds or that sort of thing.
Yes, because savers aren't chasing that kind of return typically.
No, all they're looking for is a worry-free retirement and to be able to spend this money, use it, and enjoy it for the rest of their lives. So in our reporting, what we focus on is just clarity. We show the returns net of fees after we've charged our fees, which is very important. A lot of statements from other firms and other mutual funds don't include the performance net of fees. They'll show it gross of fees. So it's a little bit unrealistic to show those kind of returns when they're not actually happening in true economic senses.
Yeah, makes sense.
So in sum, really the big differentiator that you should be looking at when you're looking at investment returns is how has it performed relative to your expectations. So if you're going to be a conservative investor, are you invested conservatively and are you getting adequate returns from that? And are the fees and returns that you're seeing on statements, are those in true economic reality?
That makes sense. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Trey.
Of the three biggest questions on the hearts and minds of savers in retirement, today's question deals with the concept of being comfortable in retirement, which is different for different people. For instance, some of my clients can retire in comfort simply living on Social Security and a little mailbox money coming every month. Others require thousands of dollars a month and a large 401k to be comfortable. As I always say, when it comes to being comfortable, planning for one's retirement and all that goes with it, there is no one size that fits all. Yet, the financial world would disagree and instead always assumes you need more and more of what you've got to have enough, which might explain why you're getting bombarded from all of these financial fronts from a financial world who tends to create more worry and doubt than making you more comfortable in retirement. So what is it to be comfortable? Well, Webster's defines comfortable as the following: affording or enjoying contentment and security. Kind of sounds like our definition of something I created more than 20 years ago, the worry-free retirement process, which is our version of helping our clients retire in comfort. Yet, while comfort in retirement might be the goal, the worries of tomorrow tend to swamp the comfort many people are seeking for today. Worries like the dollar crashing, Social Security one day running out of money, the kids getting taxed to death when you leave them that tax-infested 401k of yours, who might be the next president, worries over another 2008, and quite frankly, those with a lot of money, guess what? Still worry about things in the future, which is why the late great theologian Charles Spurgeon once said, "Those who have money worry with it, those who have none worry without it." In other words, having a bunch of money doesn't always mean you'll feel comfortable in retirement. That's because we live in a real world with real troubles, which is why the Bible is so important to those of us who are looking to be comforted here on earth and need to be reminded that to be comforted about our future, we must be present with the Lord, not dependent on the world. An example of this search for comfort is found in Job 16:2, where a godly man by the name of Job is sifted like wheat by Satan himself. Job, who appeals to his closest friends for comfort, finds out that they are of little comfort at all, as he calls them a bunch of sorry comforters. Then there's King David, who struggled mightily with the things of this world. And where did he turn for comfort? Well, we see in Psalm 69:20, it sure wasn't from the world. Jesus himself reminds us that in our time of need, we will be blessed if we seek comfort, not from the world, but from God. I find this idea of seeking comfort from God most relevant and apparent with the many widows and widowers we must deal with each year upon the loss of their partner. Recently, I spoke with a widow who, after losing her spouse, basically admitted that as much as her friends and family mean well, they have been little to no comfort during this time of grief. I reminded her of the good news of Jesus Christ, where in Acts 9:31, we are reminded that we have this built-in comforter, a spirit of truth, that the Bible goes on to say dwells within us. It's a comforter that looks nothing like the world, but more like the kingdom of heaven. I think it's the reason Jesus taught us on how to pray with the thoughts of God's kingdom in mind, a kingdom that John says will not allow our hearts to be troubled, and nor will it allow us to be afraid. So, Christian, the next time you are troubled and in need of a comforter, look no further than within the pages of God's Word and be reminded that you have within your possession the greatest comforter of all. And that's some comforting news you and I can surely take to the bank. Amen? Well, speaking of words of comfort, how's that going for you in dealing with a financial world who appears to be more concerned with getting more of your money than they are concerned with giving it back to you? Or as one of the couples I recently explained to me said, we feel like we're flying by the seat of our pants. Well, if that's you, get comfortable right now and contact me, Tony Walker, to schedule what we call the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. And here's how easy it is for you and I to talk. Simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You're going to click on that little Let's Get Started button, and we will arrange this free phone call. Now, after we talk, if it looks like I can be of help, we're going to meet in person. That's right, me and you, at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices for a no-obligation, no-cost appointment. And then we're going to put that free proprietary game plan in place so that you can see how we can help you retire comfortably. Do it now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or better yet, if you'd like, just call the toll-free number at 877-499-9255. Well, we're out of time for today's show. Now, remember, next week we're going to cover part 3 of the main questions savers are asking for retirement. But between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free and you make it a good one.